I'm Caleb Giddings with Taurus USA, and I'm out here with Dave from FTW Ranch, and we're talking about suppressors. I have a Silencer Central Banished Backcountry on my 308 Taurus Expedition, and I've really enjoyed shooting with it. But Dave, talk to me about the benefits of having a suppressor for your hunting rifle.
Right. Here at a precision rifle school, I'll actually see that people shoot a lot better with the suppressor for number one. So how come? Is the gun shooting better? Is the person shooting better? Whatever the case is, I notice people do shoot a lot better with the suppressor. You're going to get a reduction in recoil, just like with a muzzle brake, right? But you don't have all the noise. And so the noise doesn't bother them. They've got less recoil. They shoot better. You know, there's a lot of places now that are mandating the use of suppressors.
Oh, that's great.
While you're hunting. If you're in Europe, some of the countries there in England, you got to hunt with a suppressor. But it's less impactful on your environment, on the wildlife, and just and your ears as a hunter. You know, I know I've had opportunity to shoot things at my house, whether there's pigs or a coyote, and I'm trying to get on target really quick, and then I'm wasting time looking for my ear protection.
Right.
And so I have a suppressor on my rifle as well. It just lives there, and I can shoot that gun without worrying about hurting my ears. A lot of times people are wondering though, what happens when I put the suppressor on the gun? What happens if I shoot it with a suppressor or without a suppressor?
Right.
And I've heard different arguments and conversations about what's going to increase velocity. It's going to decrease velocity. It's going to do this or do that. And what I would say to those folks is consider your sample size. For example, I've shot my gun unsuppressed, and then I put a suppressor on, and then I shot it suppressed, and it appears I got more velocity or less velocity. And if it's a sample size of 1, I'm not going to trust that data.
You need to shoot more rounds to get more information.
You know, shoot 100 rounds suppressed, 100 rounds unsuppressed, then call me and let me know what you came up with. But generally, I don't see that much of a difference in muzzle velocity just by adding or subtracting the suppressor. So what I will notice though is for sure a point of impact change.
That was going to be my next question. So POI shift, point of impact change, right? If I zero my rifle without the suppressor and then I go on a hunt or go to whatever event I'm at and I attach a suppressor, how important is it that I reestablish my zero?
Yep, well, number one, know your rifle and know what the difference is. Occasionally I'll actually find one that shoots the same, suppressed and unsuppressed. But think about if I've got a barrel, a very, very thin barrel, thin profile, and I'm going to hang a piece of metal off the end of it that's really heavy. I'm likely to have a significant zero shift. I've got a real heavy, thick bull barrel, and I put the lightest suppressor on the market on it, and I might have less of a zero shift. But you really can't know until you get out there and try it. And your zero shift isn't always high, it isn't always low, it isn't always left, it isn't always right. In the military, I just happened to have the opportunity I was issued a rifle. We had a whole box of suppressors. We go to the firing line, all the same suppressors, put it on the rifle. I would shoot it. It was like, that one's like a foot high. I'd take a different one out. I tried that one. It's like, that one's 3 inches to the right. Take another one out. It's like, this one's 6 inches low. Another one, like, got the day to experiment. It's like, this one's only about 2 inches, difference from suppressed and unsuppressed. And then I'd log that down. That's my serial number. That's going to be married up to my gun. Not everybody can do that.
Right, yeah. You don't. I don't have a box of suppressors in my house to go through.
But it did show me that even the same gun, the same suppressor, running through all different ones, I got different results out of them, right? So you have to do your own experiment and see what your gun's going to do. And you're going to see, I would just count on seeing a zero shift of some amount when you have it suppressed and when you have it unsuppressed. But as far as your range card goes, you came and we had a range card for you, and we built that range card with your gun unsuppressed. And then we suppressed it. You were 3 inches off. You corrected your zero. Take your range card and keep going because your muzzle velocity hasn't changed.
Right. Now let's talk about attachment methods. So this particular suppressor, it's pretty short and it's a direct thread attachment.
Okay.
So I've seen others where I have to attach a muzzle brake and then I can attach it to the brake. And there's all sorts of different attachment points. Is there any that's better or more efficient, or is all kind of just your personal use case?
I'll talk through my the way I did it just personally. So I got 30 caliber suppressors. Right, but I don't have all 30 caliber guns.
Right.
So I've got my AR-15. Well, I wanted to be able to use it on my AR-15, and I wanted to use it on, say, my 6.5 Creedmoor as well.
Sure.
Different thread patterns, right? So I'm going to need a different muzzle device.
Right.
I like the direct thread option, But in this case, I might have it on my AR-15, and then I just need to take it off, and I need to put it on my Creedmoor. In that case, I'm going to have to use some type of quick disconnect method because the threads that are going to come on that rifle are going to be different.
Right, that makes sense.
I can put a muzzle device on this gun and on this gun with the correct thread patterns, but the suppressor accepts both, right? Now, why do they do that to start with? I don't want to put a 5.56 suppressor
on your 30 caliber rifle and
right?
launch it into this.
So I just bought 30 cal suppressors. They're probably not the quietest for my 5.56, but I really didn't care. I just wanted it to be ear safe. And then I just wanted to be able to go from this rifle to this rifle to this rifle with it. Now I have my direct thread, I feel like they're a little bit more accurate. And my personal opinion. So on my 300 PRC, that's just where that suppressor was going to live. I went with the direct thread option because I wasn't going to take that. And it's a lot bigger too. It's on my 300 PRC. I wasn't really concerned with weight and length and size because the gun's already pretty big in itself. So, so that wasn't a consideration. I wasn't going to take it off and put it on my AR-15.
Sure.
Because I have almost double the size of my AR-15.
Well, the last thing on this Silencer Central model is the actual thread attachment point threads into the can itself. So I assume that means I can get this with a different thread pitch, and I could take this can apart, put a different thread pitch adapter in it, and then put it on my 5.56 rifle if I wanted to.
Right, and each one of these, each suppressor is a little bit different. Each company makes that a little bit different, so it's important to, read the instructions or contact the company and know exactly how that works. Right.
Last bit on suppressors, how important is it to keep this thing clean?
So, I generally don't clean my suppressors that much.
Okay.
I'll tell you the main part that I do clean, and that's that attachment point. So every time I clean the rifle, of course, you're going to take your suppressor off, clean the rifle, and then I'm cleaning those attachment points. That carbon will build up right there. We've had the suppressors, they just freeze on the rifle at some point. And then if this was frozen together and now you're just twisting, you're trying to get it torqued off, it breaks loose. But now a lot of times the muzzle device then comes off inside the suppressor. It didn't stay on the rifle. And now, how are you going to get it out? You couldn't get it out when it was on the muzzle.
Now you need tools and wrenches and a vise and a bunch of other stuff.
You're going to probably soak it in something. You're going to have to soak it in some chemicals for it to break it loose for you. So keep those things clean. Your attachment point, some people will clean it in like a sonic cleaner or something like that. So that's good. If you're using any type of fluids or anything to clean it, like we've got the Simple Green machine thing in our cleaning room.
Right.
And guys will use that to clean it, eats the carbon out of it. But you have fluid now in that suppressor. I'll see them take the suppressor, they'll clean it and then lay it down on the table. And if you let it dry like that, a lot of that carbon will just kind of come off. And now it's just pulled
inside it.
Only in one part. It'll be pulled up down here in the bottom, and then you create problems. So if you're doing it with that method, you've cleaned it out with something like that. I'll take compressed air, I'll blow it out best I can, both ends, and then I'll set it standing upright and let all of that stuff drip out until I know it's clean. So.
Makes sense. You want to keep your tools clean. So it sounds to me like big benefits for the suppressor on your hunting rifle, or really any rifle. Obviously, that hearing protection, it lets you get the rifle into action without necessarily going to have to go grab a pair of earmuffs or plugs or something like that. And then for people who may be a little bit recoil and noise sensitive, reducing that recoil, reducing that noise. No matter what suppressor you end up picking for your Taurus Expedition, make sure that you get out to the range, zero it, and train with it.